What's going on there, YouTube? Welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we are going to continue our coverage over the X-Men, right? And guys, we're getting so close when it comes to our coverage over Onslaught. Like, I'm really hyped up for it, but like at the same time, I'm not, because it's going to be a massive crossover that kind of leads into a lot of different things that Marvel did in the 1990s. And I'll explain more about that as we get into the very end of the actual event. But getting back into our coverage over the X-Men, we're going to pick back up once again with Generation X. Now, this is the last 3 issues for this team right here before we're able to dive into Onslaught for these characters. So these 3 issues take place right before the main event, really the prologue that leads into the main event for that crossover. Now, getting into the whole idea of this storyline, it does pick up where our last video had left off at. When it came to Generation X, they had to deal with a character known as Implate. Now, I'm not really going to sit down and try to re-explain the whole idea of that character. If you want to know more about that character, go over and watch the previous video. But for Implate, he has the ability to kind of take over your mind. He's kind of like a vampire. Once he's able to get a small piece of you, he's then able to control you, but it also kind of give you a small amount of his powers as well. And so for Synch, he's one of the few members of Generation X was unfortunately taken over by Implate, but then sent back home to his city, St. Louis. And so the problem is right now is that for Synch, he's kind of like a vampire thrall. You know, he wants to feed off other people, feed off their bone marrow. And technically for Implate, he hates his family. So that trait right there passed on to people that he is currently controlled. And so for Skin, it's kind of him now going after different people that he considers as family. And there's a reason why I say consider. You'll see what I mean as we go through the rest of this storyline. You see, in the opening pages of the storyline, we pick out this young girl, this baby girl who's blind. And we do learn here that technically she's a foster child. But in these opening pages, we also learn that Synch is also a foster child as well. And matter of fact, he belongs to a foster family that he really does love and cares for. And so just like that is Implant doing what he wants to do to Synch. Use Synch as a way to target other people. Those other people are people he considered to be his family members. And so this little girl is his foster sister, and he's trying his best to fight against what Implate is trying to make him do, which is hurt her. Now, you do have his foster parents wake up and they confront him and they look at him as their own child. They love him. They care for him. They're kind of scared for him right now. And so once he realized what he's doing here, scaring them and almost hurting his foster sister, you have you have Synch just run away. Now, here's the thing, because you do have his foster parents go out of their way to call the police, right? Now, they're trying to tell a different story in a way where Synch will not get in trouble for what had happened here. Like, they're trying to say somebody broke in, but as soon as the father walked in the room, that guy who supposedly broke in ran away. Now, the cops kind of realize there's something off with this foster family. And matter of fact, they kind of know that when it comes to Synch, their son, that he had moved up the road to a brand new school that was made for mutants. So you get the idea that these cops don't like this foster family because their son is a mutant. Now, luckily for the parents, Emma Frost and also Banshee arrive. And you have Emma Frost use her abilities on the minds of the cops. Now, this next page for me, I kind of like because it's the parents expressing their concerns about what's going on with their son. They're kind of like, hey, we gave our child over to you to basically be taken care of. And we come to find out that he's not okay at all. Like, what are you doing to help us out here? What are you doing to help out our child? Now, for Banshee, he tells him that he's right now feeling heavily responsible for what's happening to their son. And he does promise them that everything is going to be a-okay. Now, Emma Frost and also Banshee did not come alone. They also brought 3 of their students. That would be Monet, Paige Guthrie, better known as Husk, and Jubilee. Now, we get a point where you have Husk kind of feeling very upset that Emma Frost and Banshee did not bring Skin and also Chamber with them as well. Now, for Jubilee, she has to explain that they're trying to blend into the city. And when it comes to Chamber and Skin, they're not really able to blend in. Skin always looks like he's currently melting away. And for Chamber, well, his chest is missing. So that's kind of hard to hide here in the big city, better known as St. Louis. Now, for Monet, she does pick up on something and she does fly away, and the rest of the ladies follow her. Now we do transition over to Skin and also Chamber. Now for Skin, it's really more him being an online chat room, try to find his hopefully future wife or whatever, but you then have Chamber walk into the room. Now, in an earlier storyline for Chamber, unfortunately, he was grabbed by Gateway and teleported away. Now, when it came to Chamber, he was taken over to Onslaught, but it does seem like his mind was wiped. And the question is right now, why? Like, why was Onslaught so scared of Chamber remembering who he was? But right now, we also see that there's something going on with Chamber at the moment. But now we have to put that plot line on the back burner and transition back over to Synch. Now for Synch, he's currently at his old high school again. Now he does run into the janitor. And we kind of get the idea that for Synch, he was very loved at his school as well, like he was at home. But when he came to janitor, he kind of realized there's something wrong with Synch and he wants to be there for him. And so to close on this first chapter alone, we do see that you have Synch about to attack this janitor, this guy who cares for him and wants to actually help him. Now, luckily for this guy, you do have a few members of Generation X appear. Jubilee, Monet, and also Husk. But here comes the next big problem for our heroes, because for Synch, as long as you're nearby him, as long as you're in his aura, he has the ability to copy your abilities. And so right now for Synch, we're currently seeing him being able to copy their abilities and begin to use their powers against them. But as we get into the opening pages for the next chapter, we're picking up with Banshee and of course Emma Frost. And they're heading over to where, the big battles are taking place at. But you have Emma realize they have to stop. And the reason why, because again, for Synch, if you get nearby him, if you get in his aura, he will be able to copy your abilities. And so for Emma, she already knows through her abilities that when it came to Synch, he's already copying the abilities of Monet, Husk, and Jubilee. If they arrive there, it would just make things a whole lot worse. He'll then be able to copy their abilities as well. And we actually do transition over to that battle where you do have the ladies trying their best to use their abilities against Synch, where Synch is technically able to hold his own for a brief moment. But you then have Synch kind of realize that he does not want to attack his friends because to him, they're like his family as well. They're more than just teammates, more than just friends. They're basically family. Now, you do have Synch try to run away. Now, before you have the ladies try to follow him, you have Jubilee say she's not going. And here's the reason why, because for Synch, he can easily copy her ability. But when it comes to Monet and Husk, he really can't copy their abilities as easily. And the reason why, because for Husk, she's always shedding her skin over and over again to different forms of matter. And when it comes to Monet, well, she's a complete mystery at the moment, making things hard for Synch to kind of use against his opponents. And so for Jubilee, she kind of realized if they want to be able to take him down, these two ladies are their best option at the moment. Now, when we jump back over to Chamber and Skin for a brief moment, we see that Chamber is getting worse. And so for Skin, he kind of realized they can no longer wait for Emma Frost nor Banshee to come home to hopefully help out Chamber. And so for Skin, his main goal is to take Chamber over to Charles Xavier. Now, before the boys leave, somebody does walk up to the school looking for a job that Banshee or Emma Frost have put in the newspaper. Now, for Skin, his main goal is to get Chamber over to Charles Xavier. And so you have Skin tell the boy, like, hey, you're hired. As a matter of fact, come back tomorrow. We got to go somewhere. He closed the door on the boy. He grabs Chamber and begins to head over to Charles Xavier's school. Now, when we jump back over to the battle between Synch and the few members of Generation X, we're currently seeing Synch fight against Husk right now. Now, here's the thing, because remember, for Husk, she has the ability to shed her skin. And when she does, she's then able to use her new skin in different types of materials. So like diamond or wood or even like metal. And that right there kind of gives her the edge, because for Synch, as he constantly just keeps trying to rip off her skin, she's able to keep bringing in new skin underneath her old skin in different types of material. And so it does kind of give her the edge until her body's just worn out and she just passes out in front of Synch. Now, you do have Monet enter the battle at the very last second. Now, when she does, it's really more Synch trying to copy her ability. The problem is that he can't. Well, technically he can, but the ability that he is copying is actually an after effect, meaning that her power works differently. And the thing is, guys, we don't know truthfully what her power is just yet, but we do learn here that for Synch, when he does try to copy her ability again, he learns the dark secret behind her ability that makes him freak out, but also break the hold on him that Implate had. And so technically he's finally free. Now, the question is right now, what is the secret to her ability and why her ability really made her brother upset with her? Now, once you do have Monet bring Husk and also Synch back over to Emma Frost, Jubilee, and Banshee, you did Emma Frost say, we need to figure out what we're going to do about Monet, because technically she is a mystery. But the ending for this chapter right here is really important, because we pick up with Chamber and also Skin heading over to the school of Charles Xavier. The problem is that you didn't have our two heroes be confronted by one particular person, and that would be the Executioner. Now, guys, when it comes to this character right here, the Executioner, he's really more of a character who goes after bad mutants only. Like, he does not hate mutants, he hates bad mutants that had committed crimes, the extreme crimes like murder. And so for him right now, he's going after Skin. And so as we get into the final chapter, we're really picking up moments after the ending of the last chapter, where you do have Chamber and also Skin trying their best to get away from the Executioner. Now, for the Executioner, he's coming after Skin because he believes that Skin is a killer, a murderer. Now, you do have Skin being able to leave Chamber behind somewhere safe so that Skin can find the best way to deal with the Executioner. Because he knows if he does not find a way to deal with him right now, then most likely he'll come back again and try to kill off the two guys. Now, we do transition back over to, well, Banshee and the rest of the Generation X team. Now, when we do, it's really more of the team trying their best to move on from what happened with Synch earlier in the storyline. But here's the thing, because for the foster parents of Synch, they're very upset with Banshee because technically he was unable to protect their child. But is Banshee also saying, like, what happened to your son was horrible? But here's the thing, with him being a mutant, he's going to face so much more problems down the road. Do you really think that you guys have the ability to actually protect him better than me? And that right there is a huge statement for Banshee to make. Now, we also see Jubilee being that good friend and kind of realize that for Synch, he's kind of upset with himself because he was being controlled, but he was going after people that he looked at as family. Jubilee, Husk, Monet. But Jubilee knows what he needs. And right now what he needs is just a hug. Now, I kind of want to go ahead and transition back over to Skin. And here's the reason why, because we do learn why the Executioner is coming after him for. You see, for the Executioner, he got word that there was this young boy known as Angelo Espinosa who was killed off. But then out of nowhere, here's Skin currently using the same name as that young boy. Now, in the earlier parts of our coverage over this particular team, we have learned that for Skin here, people back at his hometown, they believe he is dead. But in reality, he's alive. And so for the Executioner, it's kind of the same thing as well. He got word that, hey, Angelo died by the hands of Skin, but here's also Skin currently using the same name as that young boy. Now we do transition back over to Emma Frost and also Monet, because for Emma Frost, she's kind of done with Monet. She's tired of all the different secrets that Monet is keeping from the team, because in an earlier video, we had learned that she is the sister to Implate, but also Penis as well. Now for Emma Frost, she's kind of like, okay, I need to know everything about you, because for Emma Frost, she's still kind of going through a lot at the moment. And let me explain, because when it came to Chris Claremont days on the X-Men, we saw her be able to open up her own school. She had her own students. They were called the Hellions. But when it came to literally the very end of Chris Claremont's run on the X-Men, the Hellions, most of them were killed off. The problem was she was in a coma. So she had no idea that most of her Hellions, her students, were killed off until she came out of that coma, and it broke her. And so with her now being a teacher all over again for this brand new team of young heroes, she's kind of like, no, you need to tell me everything right now, because I will not be responsible for the death of these kids as well. And so for Monet, she begins to kind